So here is the quiet truth no one tells you. You do not lose control when you stay silent. You lose control the moment you feel you must be understood. The person who needs no reaction and no explanation is the person who cannot be touched. The single shift in perception you will walk away with. Your energy is not for explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. You will stop asking, "Why are they doing this?" and start asking, "Why do I still care what they think?" Most people live their whole lives as emotional hostages. Someone says something sharp. They react. Someone questions their intentions. They write 3 paragraphs. Someone ignores their text. They spiral. That is not sensitivity. That is a nervous system trained to beg for approval. By the end of this video, you will see that the most peaceful people on earth are not the ones who win arguments. They are the ones who never enter them. You wake up. You check a message. Someone misunderstood you. Your chest tightens. Your fingers start typing a long explanation. You want to be fair. You want to be clear. You want to prove you are not the bad person they just painted. Stop. That need to explain, that burning urge to react, that is not your kindness. That is your cage. Let me say that again. Your desire to be understood is not a weakness. But your need to explain yourself to every single person, that is a leash. Most people spend their whole lives reacting and explaining, and they never notice. Every time you explain yourself to someone who already judged you, you give them your power for free. By the end of this video, you will see why the most dangerous person in any room is the one who smiles, says nothing, and walks away. And you will learn exactly how to become that person without becoming cold or cruel. Let us go back to your childhood for 1 minute. You cry. A parent asks, "What's wrong?" You explain. They calm down. You learn. Explaining brings safety. In school, the teacher says, "Why were you late?" You explain. Sometimes they believe you. You learn. Explaining earns acceptance. A friend is upset. You say, "I didn't mean it." They forgive you. You learn. Explaining repairs connection. Then you grow up, and you carry that lesson into adult life. But adults are not your parents. And the internet is not a classroom. Psychologists call it the just world hypothesis. You believe that if you explain yourself clearly enough, fair people will treat you fairly. But here is the painful truth most people never accept. Most adults are not fair. They are tired. They are defensive. They are carrying their own unhealed wounds. And when someone wants to misunderstand you, no explanation will ever be enough. In fact, the more you explain, the more they find to attack. CarlJung said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." Meaning, when you rush to explain yourself, you are admitting that you are not sure of your own reality, and other people will happily build one for you. Let's look at 3 real-life examples. Example 1. At work. A coworker says loudly in a meeting, "You missed the deadline because you don't care." What happens inside you? Your face heats. Your mind races. You want to say, "No, I was sick. My laptop broke. I worked overnight." Stop. That is the trap. The moment you explain, you agree to their game. The game where you are on trial, and they are the judge. Now try the other way. You look at them. 2 seconds of silence. Then you say, "Okay," and you go back to your notes. The room feels different, does it not? Because you did not fight their story. You just refused to enter their courtroom. Example 2. In a relationship. Your partner says, "You never listened to me." Your old self. That is not true. Yesterday I listened for an hour. Remember when you were talking about your boss? I even asked questions. That is an explanation. And what happens next? They say, "See, you are defending yourself instead of hearing me." Now try silence. Look at them. Nod once. Say, "Tell me more." That is not reacting. That is not explaining. That is staying present without defending. Example 3. Online. Someone comments, "You have no idea what you are talking about." Your fingers itch to type, "Actually, I have studied this for 5 years. Here are 10 sources." Do not. That stranger does not care about your sources. They care about your reaction. Type nothing. Scroll away. That is not running. That is reclaiming your attention. Every time you react, you train people that your peace is for sale. Every time you explain, you train yourself that you need their approval. And that is exhausting. That is why you feel drained after small arguments, not because the argument was hard, but because you gave away pieces of your calm. You might be thinking, if I ignore them, they win. If I say nothing, I look guilty. That feeling, that is your old training. Society tells you, speak up, defend yourself, never let anyone disrespect you, but let us test that. Think of a person you truly respect. Not the loudest person you know, the strongest. Maybe an older relative, a mentor, a character from history. Is that person always explaining themselves, or do they have a quiet certainty? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meaning, the person who needs to win every argument is actually weak, because their peace depends on what other people think. The person who can ignore, their peace is self-generated. Let me give you a practical test. Think of the last time you won an argument online, after you typed that final perfect reply. How did you feel? Empty, right? Maybe even worse. Because winning an argument is not peace. It is just a slightly less noisy war. Psychologists have found that when you explain yourself to someone with a strong opposing belief, they often believe their original position more strongly. Your explanation does not convince them, it entrenches them. So all that energy you spent? It backfired. Nietzsche said, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die." Meaning, you have to shed the need to be right in every small fight. Otherwise, you die 1,000 small deaths in every argument. Silence does not mean weakness. Silence means, I see what you are doing and I am not playing. But now the bigger question appears. What if the person attacking you is someone you love? What if it is your partner, your parent, your best friend? Then ignoring feels cold, right? Let us be very clear. This is not about never speaking. This is about never reacting from fear or from the need for approval. 3 situations where you still explain. Number 1. When someone has proven they are fair and curious, not hunting for a fight. Example, a friend says, "Hey, I noticed you seemed distant. Did I do something?" That is a fair question from a safe person. You can explain. But even then, keep it short. Number 2. When an explanation actually changes something practical. Example, a doctor asks, "When did the pain start?" You explain. A boss asks, "What caused the delay?" You explain with facts, not emotions. A mechanic asks, "What sound did the car make?" You explain. Number 3, when you choose to explain for your own clarity, not for their approval. Meaning, you are not trying to change their mind. You are simply stating your truth once, then letting it go. If they argue, you stop. No debate. Every other situation, especially online arguments, passive-aggressive comments, or someone who has judged you before hearing your side, you ignore. Your brain hates open loops, unfinished business. When someone provokes you and you do not respond, they feel the tension. Not you. You walk away clean. They stay stuck wondering why you did not care. That is the secret power. You leave them with the itch, and you walk away with your peace. Here is the part most people never realize. When you explain yourself to someone who has already decided you are wrong, you are not defending yourself. You are feeding their sense of importance. Think of it this way. A child screams for candy in a store. If you argue with the child, you look ridiculous. The same is true for adult tantrums. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." So if someone is emotional, reactive, and desperate to pull you into a fight, and you stay calm, silent, and unbothered, you have already won. Not because you proved them wrong, but because you refused to become them. Let me give you a darker example. Think of a manipulative person, a narcissist. What do they want more than anything? They want your reaction. They want to see you cry, yell, explain, beg to be understood. That is food for them. When you say nothing, when you do not explain, you starve them, and they will eventually leave to find someone who still reacts. Next time you feel the urge to react or explain, do this. Step 1. Take 1 breath. Not 2. 1. Step 2. Ask yourself, does this person actually care about my truth or just about winning? Step 3. If the answer is winning, say nothing, change the subject, or simply walk away. But here is the hard part. Walking away feels strange at first. It feels like you are losing. That is just your ego lying to you. Try it for 1 week. Keep a small note on your phone. Every time you choose silence over reaction, write down what happened. You will notice something strange by day 5. The people who used to argue with you will either respect you more or leave you alone. Both are wins. You might be thinking, this sounds nice for small arguments, but what about real injustice? What about when someone lies about you? What about when staying silent means letting them win? Fair question. Let me answer it clearly. There is a difference between ignoring and accepting. Ignoring means you do not give your energy to the fight. It does not mean you let someone harm you. If someone spreads a lie that affects your job, your safety, or your family, you do not ignore, you act. But you act without emotion. You go to the right person. You present facts. You do not argue. You state. Example, a coworker lies and says you stole money. You do not yell at them. You do not explain yourself to every person in the office. You go to your boss. You say, there is a claim. Here is the proof it is false. I am ready to work. That is not reacting. That is responding. Reaction is emotional. Response is intentional. So the rule is simple. If staying silent will cause real harm, speak once, then stop. If staying silent only hurts your pride, stay silent. Jung also said, what you resist not only persists, but grows in size. Meaning, the more you fight small battles, the more battles appear. The more you ignore small battles, the more peace you have for big ones. You may still wonder, but what if they spread lies about me? What if ignoring makes it worse? What if I lose respect? That was the tension we held, and here is the full answer. Lies spread only when you react to them. A lie that is ignored has no fuel. A truth that needs no explanation is its own proof. Think of a calm lake. If someone throws a stone, the lake ripples. Then it settles. The lake does not explain why it rippled. It just returns to stillness. Be the lake. You stayed this long because you felt I was not giving you cheap motivation. You felt the calm. That is the authority. Now here is the reciprocity. If this idea shifts something in you, share it with one person who over-explains themselves into exhaustion. Not because you need to convert them, but because that is how quiet ideas spread. Imagine a locked door. On one side, you are screaming through the keyhole, please understand me. On the other side, no one is even listening. Now imagine you simply turn around, walk away and sit in a quiet garden. That garden is your life. The locked door is every argument that never mattered. Now imagine a second image, a courtroom. You are in the witness box. Someone is yelling accusations. Then you stand up, take off the witness label and walk out the door. There is no case anymore, because you left. That is what ignoring does. It removes you from trials you never agreed to join. So let us land this plane properly. The person who never reacts and never explains is not cold. They are not avoidant. They are not weak. They have simply realized your silence is not emptiness. It is a border, and no one crosses it without your permission. You do not owe anyone a performance of your pain. You do not owe anyone a defense of your choices. And you certainly do not owe an explanation to someone who has already decided your worth. One last psychological fact. Studies on emotional regulation show that the act of choosing silence activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-control and long-term thinking. Reacting activates your amygdala, the fear center. So silence is not just wise, it is literally more intelligent. So here is what I want you to do next. Not subscribe because I asked. Subscribe because you are tired of waking up exhausted from fights that never needed to happen. Subscribe because you want more videos on how to protect your mind without becoming hard or bitter. Watch the next video. How to stay kind without becoming a target. It will show you exactly where to draw the line between compassion and self-destruction. Because the goal is never to become heartless. The goal is to become unshakable. But for now, close your eyes for 5 seconds. Breathe. And say to yourself, I do not need to react. I do not need to explain. I can just ignore. Say it again, slower. I do not need to react. I do not need to explain. I can just ignore. That is not giving up. That is growing up. That is not running away. That is walking toward your own peace. Thank you for listening. Go in silence.